Welcome to Patch Academy, and we're going to start by talking about what is Patch. For those of you who've been, how many, can I get a show of hands, how many of you use Patch regularly to get your news and information? Excellent, excellent. Patch is a hyperlocal news site. It's designed to be a dynamic site that updates throughout the day, so what posts in the morning will continue to circulate throughout the day on the page, and it can be any number of things from news about meetings that are happening in town to police events to meeting stories. Yep. Elections, yes, they just had an election, as you know, in Merrimack. So what makes it a little different than your traditional newspaper is that it's all online and there's no paper to recycle. And beyond that, it's designed to be very interactive. We hope that as regular users, you get into the habit of feeling like you can interact with the site.
But one of the things that I think we do really well is just kind of get ingrained in our communities. We know the people that live and work in our communities, and we talk with them on a daily basis or a weekly basis. And when we're out in the community, people know who we are, and they know that they can let us know what's going on in town, and that if they have a question, they can ask us, and we'll do our darndest to get the answer. So we're really, in addition to having a news site and having a site where people can go for information, there's also somebody there's somebody actually behind the computer that they see on a regular basis. So I think that's a big part of the community aspect of Patch.
So yeah, what's different than your average newspaper is that I'm the staff, the entire staff for National Patch. This is the entire staff for Merrimack Patch. And so as a one-man staff, you can't do everything and be everything at all times, but that's where our readers come in a lot of the times too. We get a lot of great feedback. I think one other difference is, and having both of us having worked at newspapers, is when you go into work at a newspaper, someone tells you, here's the stories we want you to be working on today. But we really like to hear from you as to what you think is important, and we try to touch on those stories because readers want to know. And we have a feature, one of the things we'll talk about is one of our newer features, which is called You Ask, Patch Answers, and we try to answer all your questions if you have one. We just do it, whatever it is. We'll get the answer. We'll go to the person. We'll investigate. So let's start with a question, if anybody has one, before we just kind of start digging in. Does anybody have a specific question they came to get answered, or do you just really want to kind of follow along as we take you through the site?
Hi, I'm Kathy. I live in Nashua. Carol, I want to ask you about posting photos directly onto the site rather than emailing you.
Yeah, well, that's a great question. It depends. It depends on what if it's attached to an event, like if you went somewhere and it was like a rally or something, or if it's a bird in your backyard. There's a couple different ways you can do that. Across the top of the site, you'll see here we have something called Pics and Clips. If you click on that, it brings up this page, which, as you can see, has quite a number of photos in it that are just sort of aggregating, and I update it whenever I get a photo. And people share, as you can see, we have a woodpecker here, which actually somebody pointed out to me was very newsworthy because they were talking about these invasive beetles that are eating our ash trees and that their natural predator is a woodpecker. So I thought that we should have actually done a story about that woodpecker. But you can upload photos and videos easily through this link, and there's a button that just says upload photos and video, and you click on that button, and then you have to sign in. So
yes. So if you have an account, you sign in.
So if you have an account, you sign in. And
if you don't,
then you join. Click on
upload photos and videos. Yeah.
Upload photos and videos. And when you click on that link, it takes you to your hard drive. So wherever your photo is on your computer, you just click it, and it'll magically upload. There's not a way to do it directly from your phone yet. You'd have to upload the photo from your phone to the computer and then to the site, or send it to me, which people are welcome to text me or send me photos. But so there you see the photo goes in, and
You click on an image, we'll remove this later, but you click on the image to add your caption down here, which
so
is...
then you can just explain, here's a flower I grew at my house. It's beautiful. I'm going to eat it for dinner.
They all need to be approved first before they're posted.
Nope, they go right
No,
up.
they go right up. I will get notified that something's been uploaded, and I will go in and feature it. It doesn't go right up on you don't see it on the page. It doesn't get featured. That's up to me to feature it. But anything that's uploaded goes directly into the system. We can reject it, and they have a screening process that will catch things that seem questionable. They have a process for something like that. You can use this local voices to post a letter to the editor, to if you want to put photos up or videos up on a regular basis, if you want to write an opinion piece,
Yeah.
or if you want to blog about your beautiful flowers and just write about gardening or something, you can do that.
Yeah, we have bloggers from all sorts of different backgrounds. We have political bloggers, and we have bloggers that write about, they write movie reviews, and we've got bloggers that write about raising children.
Right, I have a genealogy
yeah.
blogger who writes regularly.
In Merrimack, she hasn't written for a while, but I had a blogger who was writing about raising chickens and 6 children. So 6 children, 30 chickens. It was, quite the lifestyle.
So same with this.
But,
you would if you were going to say you were at a rally and you wanted to upload some of the pictures of yourself and your friends, protesting something. You can actually give it a title, like protesting the pigeons on North Church, and then you write a little. Today we gathered at the Library Hill to protest the pigeons on the church, and here's some photos we took, and then scroll down, and the description part would be the part that on the home page is visible. You see the title, and then you see a description that says, "My adventures in protesting pigeons," or something like that. So you write a description of what the post is going to be about, and then you just do the same thing. You click upload a photo. Tags. Who doesn't know what tagging is? I hate when people ask it that way, so I'm just going to tell you what tagging is. Tags are used so that the computer can categorize stories and find them, and that people searching for something it's easier for them to find something based on the subject matter. So in this case, you might want to write pigeons protesting North Church, Library Hill, anything that's key to what you're posting about, you enter it as a tag. So it's sort of categorizing this post with various words. And then when you've done all of those things, you save it and preview it, and it'll show you how it looks. You can, across here, as you can see, you can bold, italicize, you can put in quotes, you can put in bullets, you can spell check for people who aren't sure about their spelling. So you can do all of those things before you post, but I guarantee you that I will also spell check it, and if it needs anything, I'll fix up the whatever, if you forgot to capitalize something, that's okay.
The one thing, Carol was talking about with this particular blog, because we were talking about photos, if you were uploading, if you wanted to do kind of like a photo centerpiece, up here there's also a drop down for template, and there's standard or media. So if you're uploading a gallery of photos, I would recommend choosing media, because that will make the photo the central focus of what you've posted and put the text secondary.
So it'll just give you a nice big.
So instead of having to click on the photo to make it bigger, it will already be that larger size. And just if you're doing a photo, if you're doing a photo post and you just have a little bit of text, it will look a lot nicer to have the big photo and have the text below it than to have the text and some white space in the photo on the side. So if you're just doing, a standard blog, I would go with the standard template. But if you remember, you can click media. And if you don't and you want us to fix that, we can. The one thing with blogs right now, and I don't know if this will ever change or if it's going to stay this way forever, but once you guys submit, save and preview a blog and it comes through and it gets approved onto the site, you can't go back in and edit it yourself. So if there is something that you need to have fixed, you just need to contact the editor of the site that you posted your blog to and let them know that something needs to be corrected, and we can do that, no problem. Sometimes if it's like a link that's missing or whatever, I've got a blogger that writes about education, and he had a couple of missing links. They were broken, and he just posted them in the comment section until I could get to it because I was at a meeting and couldn't get to it right away. But we will go in and fix things for you as needed. So.
But that's another thing about having everything online and using Patch. You can use links to help people, if you're referencing something that you read or something that you've done, you can add a hyperlink into a story. And as Carolyn said, if there's any problem with that, we can always fix it. But it creates a way for people to really, in this information age, there's so much information available to us, but the idea of being able to share it with one another to underscore a point you're trying to make. A lot of the political posters add a lot of links to show something that they read that they want everybody else to see. So that's something that's useful when you're posting. And again, this can also be a letter to the editor if you saw something downtown that really steams you up and you can't believe it's happening. They're cutting down trees on Main Street again, I heard. So, you can put title, I'm mad about the trees, being cut down on Main Street, are you? And then you can write, what you feel. And if you take a picture, you can upload the picture if you want to. It's a quick way to get a letter to the editor instantly uploaded to the site. And it eliminates the middleman, and we're not going to go like, oh yeah, right, we're going to put this letter in, like they do with the newspapers. So, I'm just kidding. But everybody's voice and everybody's opinion matters in a.
Within reason.
Yeah. So that is one way to use the Local Voices blog, or that's several ways actually to use the Local Voices to post whatever it is that you want to post. There are other alternative ways to do that too.
Announcements.
Yep, announcements is another way to do that, where you can go into the news tab, and then mine is full of things there, but you can scroll down and, oh no, it's right there at the top, I'm sorry. Add an announcement, you just click on that, and
That should
again,
look familiar.
it's a template where you put a title in for your announcement, say a big party at Kathy Peterson's house, and then the category you can select we'd like the categories sometimes to be a little broader, but you pick the one that makes the most sense. So if it's a Halloween party, for example, big Halloween party at Kathy Peterson's house, you can label it Halloween, and then you can put the information in there, and again, a photo of Kathy Peterson dressed up as, I don't know, a cat or something. And
This is a great place, though, to, if back with a traditional newspaper, your daughter is getting engaged or getting married, or you have a new grandchild or a new son or daughter, your child makes the dean's list, or even if there's a
wedding anniversary.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there an obits one? There isn't. I was going to say if there was a death, but we don't have an obits category. Oh, yes, we do. I'm sorry. It's death notices. So if you wanted to post an obituary to our website, all of those things that you've become so accustomed to, either emailing to a newspaper yourself or having, say, a funeral home email it, all of that stuff is accessible at your fingertips. We don't currently have a sports category, but we have a sports award category. So you could, if you have a child that made the All-East soccer team for their college, something like that, you can post that under announcements, and there are great, ways to categorize that. If you're looking for volunteers for an organization, you can put a call out for volunteers through an announcement. And all of this is stuff that you can do yourself. You don't have to have our permission to do it. You don't have to email us first and say, hey, would it be okay if I put this announcement on your site? It's something that you can just go in and do, and then just shoot us an email and say, hey, this announcement's on your site, and we can go in and it will show up when you post it. It will show up on the announcements page in this queue of other announcements that people have uploaded, and you can see, these are all uploaded by different people.
Right here, if you click on this one just came today. Somebody contacted me and said, somebody rear-ended me a couple days ago as I was driving and caused some pretty good damage to my car. I did report it to the police, but they drove off, and I'd really like to try to find them. Can you help me? And I said, well, I don't know if I can help you find who did it, but you can post it on Patch under announcements. And so that was all she needed to hear, and she uploaded a map and a picture of the intersection from Google Maps. She wrote a little description of what happened, and it's been posted and shared on Facebook and Twitter. And I don't know if anybody's going to contact her or be able to help her, but it was one more way that she could try. She described what she thought the vehicle looked like, that it had some front-end damage, and you never know. I mean, that's kind of, in a community, you hope that you can get, someone can help you. And I thought, why not? It's a legitimate problem. So that was a first for me. I never had anybody report a hit-and-run driver, but that's another way and I think that's really the key. To backtrack a little bit to what is Patch, I probably should have said more about what is Patch, but Carolyn and I both have print news backgrounds, and we've been journalists collectively for a long time. And we've come to Patch because we see Patch as the bridge to what's happening with news, and the bridge to somewhere instead of the bridge to nowhere. Newspapers are struggling, and through no fault of their own. Technology is changing everything. Everybody has a smartphone or a computer where they know how to search for information. What we hope to be for you is a way to enhance your ability to get information, to share information. We're professional journalists, so we can take a story and do it justice as a actual newspaper story, but there are other ways that we can help you to connect within the community to each other, to the services, to the, you don't know how to get information, you've tried to find something out from City Hall. You can post it on Patch and we'll follow up. You can call us or email us and we'll follow up on that. You can put it out there to the other readers of Patch. And another thing that we, a companion to what we do, is we post everything on Facebook and Twitter, that pretty much everything that's on the site. So that extends the reach of a story beyond, my friends and your friends, but your friends' friends, and it's a collective way. We've seen that really do amazing things when it comes to lost pets, yep, or
King Cone opening.
Bad guy on the loose, police are, put an APB for somebody who was just here. Have you seen them? Those stories spread like wildfire because people know what to do. You share those stories immediately and you get them out there. And so Patch helps you to create a link that you can share and share information.
Carol?
Yes?
When do you want people to write on which site? At a time like that? Do you want them to post directly onto Facebook or directly onto your site?
I think it depends. I would say in any case, I would always consider posting right to Patch. I know personally, I'm not on Facebook necessarily as much during the day as I am actually sitting at my site, doing whatever. But if you post something to Patch versus Facebook, we can post it up into this top spot on our page pretty quickly. And
We can send out a
we
breaking
can
news
send
alert.
out- yeah, exactly. We can send out a news alert. We can also share that onto our Facebook walls. If you share something onto our Facebook site, it shows up in a separate category on the page, and so it's not always like right there. People see it right away. So if you go through Patch first, and we share it onto our walls, it becomes more prominent. That said, I would always encourage you to then, take that information and pop it on Facebook too, because you never know who's going to be looking where. But in terms of, trying to get it kind of featured, I would recommend just posting it right to our sites. And again, because we're a staff of one, we're obviously not always at our computers. So, if someone sends me a message on Facebook, I'm probably not going to see it until I sit back at my computer. But if they send me an email and say, hey, I just posted this to your site, I can actually feature that from my phone. So that's something that
Yeah, we have the technology.
Right. It's we've got the ability to be able to get it up pretty quickly. But again, if you send me a message on Facebook, I might not see it for an hour. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people use your site more because if they're reading the news on their lunch hour at work, usually the social medias, Facebooks, are blocked at workplaces, but they can access Patch, so.
Yes. We like to hear
Yeah,
that.
and I've had people witness accidents and send me photos. Those you could upload yourself as well directly through an announcement or a blog, either way. There are other things across the top that I don't know how many people utilize them. For example, the events tab, you can browse events, and that brings a calendar up that you can search today, tomorrow, this weekend. And the great thing about it is that it gives you things to do at your fingertips. The even greater thing about it is if you know about something, and I know Kathy Peterson knows about everything that's going on everywhere. You can, if you know about an event, you don't have to just email it to me, but you can enter it in on the calendar easily. You don't have to be in charge of the event. If you have good details about the event or you know about the event, just give it a title. Square dance at City Hall, and then the date, you pick the date on the calendar, you put in the time. If it's a recurring square dance, you can click the box and it will be, put it on the calendar every Monday until the square dancing is over.
If you want to try a real one, Walmart, I have the dates for Walmart.
For Walmart,
Yeah.
you want to put in one? Sure, let's create an event. It's the packing event for Walmart?
Yes.
Walmart? Okay.
Okay.
And when's the date?
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, June 6th, 7th, and 8th. 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. So we'll be looking for volunteers to help send veteran care packages. It's a quarterly event.
So let's see, we want this every day until June 8th, right? Was that the
Yes.
date? Okay.
It's actually a 3-day event.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so we put the start date in on the 6th, and then we set it to repeat every day until June 8th. So it'll repeat on the 7th and then the 8th as well. What's the address? Do you know?
It's the Armory on Daniel Webster Highway, South Nashua.
It might be.
National Guard Armory,
A National Guard Army might come up.
DW Highway South.
So this is actually a good kind of learning lesson. Sometimes you put in the name of a place and it tells you it can't find any results. When that happens, put in the actual street address and it should pull that up. However, if you are posting an event to Merrimack Patch and it's happening in Nashua, sometimes it doesn't recognize the addresses as well. So if you have trouble getting an address in, contact your editor and let them know, and we can help you kind of walk through that. So you said it's a volunteer. You're looking for volunteers.
Yes. To help package care packages and also to drop off cards to soldiers from children or anyone.
And it was care packages for veterans?
Yes, deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan. They've sent over 50,000 so far, care packages.
You're also collecting cards, is that?
Yes, and we had none at the last event from kids at school, so we had to take the time to stop and mix them up ourselves.
All right. So you put in your description, and then, again, you can upload a photo. Then you would choose a category. I would say for this one, probably,
Community service or,
on this, I would probably go with organization, or charitable.
yeah,
And then volunteer, you can choose multiple categories. That will just put it in more places on the calendar. I'd say that features everyone. Is there a website?
yes, www.mooremart.org.
You would add a phone number. We can go.
And we can go
yeah,
back
in
and
email
add
that- or
things
add
that you don't
later.
know.
What was the address? Did you?
I couldn't get any, I'm not getting.
You want me
internet.
to look it up?
Sure. The New Hampshire National Guard Armory.
Stand by.
Carolyn's going to get it.
We can move on, I just
Yeah.
didn't know it was so involved. If you want to try one
In
live.
Nashville, I guess. There you go, 154.
Thank you. He's back there looking for it. She's quicker.
All right.
So then it comes up and you just click it and it puts the map and there you go. And you can add photos.
So now your event is there. It will, and you'll see this thing. It says that your event will appear in a few seconds, and it's even kind to you and thanks you for contributing. So,
And here it says you can add photos, and YouTube is another way you can add. I know that there probably has been some more Mart events videotaped on and available on YouTube. You could pull one in if you wanted people to be able to see what to expect. You could just click on that and, yeah.
We have a question back here.
Yeah, Carol, hi, I'm Karen with WSMN. I posted yesterday on 4 patches, but I don't know if it took, and I didn't know the part about every day or every week. So it would have just shown yesterday then.
Well, we can check.
I was just playing around with it, I didn't know how I was doing it.
It looks like you
So
played
right now
pretty well.
So I put it on 4. I put Merrimack, Milford.
You did them separately.
Yes, I think I did Hollis, Milford, Amherst, and Nash. If you can recreate that again without having to put all that information in again.
so if you have an event that you think is something that would draw in people from other communities, such as a spaghetti dinner, once you create the event,
Yeah.
my best recommendation would be to create it on one site and email the editor of that site.
Okay.
We have the ability to go in and share it onto other sites. So you
Okay.
could say, could you post this on Merrimack, Amherst, Milford?
great.
And we can go do that, save you a bunch of time, and give you, if you've got another event, then you can actually put in 2 different
Yeah.
events in the time that it
Yeah.
would have taken you to put in an event,
Thanks.
the same event on each
I did
site.
that as a favor to
And
Yvonne, who
With this
was-
particular one, if there's additional events,
Right.
or if there's additional dates, let us know and we can go in and edit it for you
Okay.
and add those dates
Good
to
to
it.
know. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So beyond the events, adding events or finding events, there's the directory, which, again, it's pretty comprehensive. Before Patch launched, people went out and tried to get as much business information into the system in advance. They went to, they tried to do every business. I don't know if that's possible. And many businesses have changed already in the last couple of years. New ones have come, old ones have gone. But there should be a listing in here for virtually every business in the city of Nashua. And if you don't see a business that you know of, that you frequent, you can always add it, or
If you're a business owner.
claim, if you're a business owner, you can claim your listing. But I think there's a tab that comes up that says, is there a business you don't see, or something like that. Yeah, so now it says add it. So you can put in Charlie's Pizza and the phone number and where it's located. If you know those things, you can do that much and save it. And then somebody from our directory department will follow up on that. Commute is, I don't know that it works great on iPads. I've heard some feedback on that. I don't know. But this is designed to help you find if there's construction or if there's, traffic jams. It's supposed to be live information, and accidents, which we also post. We post those on Facebook. We tweet them when we know about them. If it's a bad enough accident, we may post it actually on the site and send out a breaking news alert. We do that a lot of times during your morning and afternoon commute when we hear about them, because we all know how that is, to be trying to get somewhere and having a problem.
So it looks like right now it's, that red line shows that it's kind of slow on the road that, what is that? What's that? Is that, yeah, connects over to Borefield. So the yellow is that it's kind of slow, and then the red is that it's very backed up. So I don't know if there's something going on there right now.
Let's go see.
Yeah, breaking news.
Breaking news. This also will show you who's got the cheapest gas up to whatever time this was updated. And I used to post this as a feature, and I used to always say the cheapest gas in town is in Merrimack, because it always it always is cheaper in Merrimack. But you can still find, you can find this on your phone too, and we'll talk about that a little bit too. Real estate tab. I don't know how many of you are interested in just seeing what's out there for sale, or if you're actively seeking a new home, or if I've done apartment rentals available. This is a great place if you're a realtor, if you know a realtor. This would be a great place to put up featured homes if to help you sell a home. We want to help you sell a home, because if you're making money, the city is making money and everybody's happy. Question here, Steve?
Well, based on that, I'm Mike from Merrimack, and for example, in the Nashua, I think actually it was the Merrimack patch, there was a story today about a house that was going to be an all-day
Exactly where I was going.
open house.
Yes.
Was that something that you did, or did the realtor
Nope,
do
the
that?
realtor posted that.
Okay.
She sent me an email yesterday, and I said, here's how you post it. And so she actually took, her listing sheet, I'm not sure what that's called, created it as a PDF. And so you can actually click on the PDF, and we have a PDF reader in the site, so you can actually zoom in, so you can actually read what's on there. But she posted that herself, and that's actually something that, I've been trying to reach out to real estate agents and let them know that this is a function, something that they can do, because, we don't know every house that's for sale in town, every open house,
No.
every.
But people used to love that
whatever,
part of
but-
the newspaper, to look at the real estate section, just to see what's
And
for
they
sale.
love it on Patch. We have
Yeah.
a great response to our real estate posts on Patch, and they're very well read. And
we do try to do a couple of them ourselves, but we'd love to have people contribute. I found a Nashua realtor had a virtual tour on YouTube, so I asked him, would it be okay if I added it to the site? He said, yes, please, sure. So that was, just another way to kind of feature a home. But we do, sometimes we do like 5 homes under $250,000, or $3 million homes in your neighborhood, or something like that, just to kind of highlight the housing market. Because from a news standpoint, how the housing market is doing is a good indicator of how things are going in the economy. So people who like to know what's selling and if they're getting a good price, that's one way to do that. This is for job seekers.
You used to be able to post jobs, but I was just checking to see.
No, here it
Oh,
is,
you
post a
can,
job. Yeah, if you're an employer and you have some jobs, you can interact with our site to post them. And if you're seeking work, you can use this site. It's just one more tool. There's plenty of search engines for jobs, we know that, but this is just kind of brings it to a local, you can, narrow your search.
And this is actually, it's powered through Indeed, so if you're familiar with Indeed and you've used it before, it's basically what you're going to find on Indeed, but it's centralized on our site, so you don't have to go to a million different websites to do all the different things that you want to do during the day.
As far as news gathering and those types of stories, all of the reporters, we have 12 patch sites here in New Hampshire. We have about 900 patch sites around the country, all doing pretty much the same kind of daily grind of trying to gather as much news and information in one place so people have a centralized place. I think that's part of what's happened with the internet is we all started with email or something, and then we found sites we liked and we'd go to them. But Patch wants to kind of give you a hub that if you can find it somewhere, you'd like to think you can find it on your Nashua Patch or your Merrimack Patch site. And we do our best to bring in information, even from other publications from time to time. We'll do what we call a link out, where if, say, WMUR has a great story about an event that I missed, I didn't get to go to it, but I think you'll want to know about it, I create a link to their site for you, and so you can click on that, you'll see it, it takes you right to their site, so they're getting the benefit of web traffic, but I'm guiding you there.
At the top of every patch site, there's your patch contact up here. So Kyle Stucker is the editor of Hampton Patch, and that has his email right there. It will bring you right to his email, and then it has his profile where you can go and read about Kyle and where he came from and what he does. And on each site, so you'll get a different, if you go up into this kind of hover area nearby, you'll get a list of the different patches in that vicinity. So you'll actually see in Hampton, you've got Exeter, Portsmouth, Salem, but then none of the other patches are really that close to the seacoast, so they pulled in North Andover, Hamilton, Wenham, Danvers, Andover, Peabody. And you can search more, and it will bring you to our homepage for all of our patch sites, and you can see all of the different states we're in. If you're looking for a patch in Georgia, you click on Georgia, and all of those sites come up.
Yeah, if your mom lives in Georgia, you can help her.
There's no real list of editors' names and that information, but you can navigate that. So if you're on Merrimack Patch and you click nearby, you've got all of the sites around here, which are mostly New Hampshire, and then we've got Chelmsford and Westford. Mike.
Hi. For example, in the Nashua Patch yesterday, you ran a story on Project Search. Mm-hmm. And my son actually happened to be at that, so I thought it was a pretty cool story. But how did that make it there? Was it you that found it? Was it the National Telegraph that put?
No, the Project Search, actually I toured the Plus company a couple of weeks ago, and so they've started to use the site, and I think that particular one, I don't know if she entered it or I entered it, but I think I might have entered it for her because the woman at the Plus company hasn't completely, she should be here actually maybe, but they asked if we would help promote that event, which was coming up quickly, and I said, of course, that's a great, it's a great event, and got that up in time for it was a reverse job fair. That's really our hope, is to engage the whole community in a way that makes sense for all of us, to share information, to get news, to understand issues, to get deeper when we can into issues and have discussions.
We have everything that we've written since Patch has launched, everything that has been posted to our site, and everything that we've posted ourselves is archived on our site. So if you are looking for something, you can't find it on the front page, you can type in some keywords in that search. This is where Carol was talking about tags. That comes in handy if you've tagged something. Pigeons, we were talking about earlier, you could look up pigeons, but when you hit enter there, it will search. And it's gonna work like a search engine. It's gonna pull up everything that it thinks is most relevant. So that April 9th of yesterday, so that would be what you guys were talking about. If it doesn't show up right away and you know that it happened recently, you can recategorize it by date, and it will pull the project search. It will pull that up, by reverse chronological date. However, it's not always going to just find project search. This, you can see it looked for the word search. So if you're looking for something very specific, like you would on a search engine, put the search that you're looking for in quotes and search again, and it will only find things that say project search.
We also have two wonderful regional editors, Dan Toohey and Mark Fortier, who they oversee all of the New Hampshire patch sites. Dan Toohey does a lot of political reporting from Concord, and as does Mark. They're sort of, I call them mom and dad, but it's, it's not really like that. But they're really they're our editors and our regional editors. So they kind of are the glue that holds us together as a team. And we think of ourselves as a statewide team because there are times when there's news that affects the entire state, and we share those stories across our patch sites. Or somebody in Exeter, our editor in Exeter has a story and he says, hey, everybody, this is a great story because it's going to impact people all the way down to Nashua, so everybody should clone this story, and so we all share the story across our sites. But Mark and Dan are very plugged in, they're very professional, they both have very deep newspaper backgrounds, and they know how to watch for a lot of alerts. So the minute an alert goes out over police or fire scanners or other professional scanners, Mark or Dan will text us or call us and say, hey, there's a fire, there's a fire engine lost its wheel, there's, any number of things happening, almost like dispatching us, so we drop everything and go. So we say we're a one-man band, but we are a team too, and we get a lot of support from them. We've evolved, to a point where people do have a lot of resources on their own now. People know how to Google, they know how to search, they know how to get information, they can attend meetings or watch them on TV now, most of them are. So it's not up to a reporter to be the only source of your information. You don't have to wait for the paper, but I think what Patch brings you is you have someone who has access and someone who can go and get in the door to an event, maybe that's only for press or something, like a political event or something, and we can bring it back to you, whereas you also enhance the news for us. As Carolyn said, you see a lot more than we see because we're often sitting in front of our computers. So it works both ways, but I think it's a really great evolution for news gathering and local news, bringing you information about what's happening right here in your particular city.
Yes.
Are there also links to city and state government sites?
On our site directly, I don't know. We could probably
in the directory,
maybe in the
possibly.
Directory, and if they're not in the directory, that's a really good point. They can be added. They probably should be added. That's a great idea.
Alderman meetings and bills that are in the House
Well,
of Representatives.
Well, the alderman meetings, I try to put a meeting story up either on Monday or Sunday or Monday, a preview of here's all the meetings this week, and I try to upload agendas when there are meetings that are going to have some meat and potatoes, as I like to say.
But no, I think to answer your question, we don't have a spot that you can go to that has a link to every agenda. That would be on the town website.
We also, I forgot to mention under the directory, the business directory, but you can go in and you can rate a business and review a business, especially if it's your favorite Charlie's Pizza. Once we get that in the directory, you can give it stars. You can write what your favorite dish is about at that place, and that helps other people when they're looking for a restaurant. Similar to how some on Yelp or other sites like that, but this, again, it keeps it here on Patch, so you can rate the business by clicking on stars, you can write a review, and we've had some people write negative reviews or comments about a business, but then I've also had business owners engage with those users to resolve a problem. So you hope it's useful in that way. But this is a great way to support your local businesses. I'm trying to cover as many bases as I can. Sharing the stories on your social networks, that's something that you can also do, which helps us, because the more people know about our site, the more our site grows in depth and interest. More people engage, more people comment, more people contribute, more information is there. So certainly we like to encourage people to, if you see a story you like, share it on your Facebook and direct people back to our site.
You know, we're still less than or younger than 2 years old in New Hampshire. And so, you know, we've had a really warm reception, and, you know, people have, you know, been very welcoming. But there's still a lot of people that don't know about us. And so it's, you know, one of the things that we're constantly trying to do is let more people know that this information is here. And the more people get involved, you know, the better the site is, because the site is really a reflection of the community and what's happening in the community. And, you know, the more people you have posting calendar events and the more people you have sharing announcements, the better you're going to get to know what's going on in town. You know, we can't do it all, but the community can. So
yeah, and we still do as much traditional reporting as humanly possible. But again, that's kind of what's happening in the news business all around, is there's fewer people to gather the news and deliver it. So Patch has a philosophy of, as a hub site, that it takes a community, almost takes a village, it takes a community to really tell that community's story. And I like to, for example, I will refer a lot of times to Access Nashua programs, because they have a lot of great programming on, this is your community television station. So I will do a story where there's a great interview on Access Nashua. I'll create a link back to the show. You can watch it on your television anytime you're home, but you might miss a show. So I'll do that if there's a meeting that I didn't get to attend. But I know there was an issue that was important. I'll go back to the minutes, I'll find the information, maybe I'll call an alderman or someone who was involved in that story, and I'll repackage that, not as I was at the meeting last night, but here's what's been happening, here's last month's minutes, so you can see where this came from. I give you the tools and the information that you need as residents of your city or town to be informed and to engage. That's the other part of it. We hope you're not just engaging with your Patch site, but we hope it gives you more interest in what's happening in your community and being involved. Maybe discovering a group that you didn't know existed. Maybe going out to the library more often, because they have such cool things happening that you didn't know about till you saw them on Patch. And this is the way that I think that our culture has kind of changed in the last 10 years. We've become digital and full of information, and everybody knows everything, or everybody knows something. So if you collect all that information in one place, it gives you a place where you can get some good, reliable information and some lively opinion. There's the fights that go on, as you all know, if you're followers of Patch, that there's some people who dig into the politics and have very different points of view. We try to moderate. We try not to intervene too much. It's like being a mom. Sometimes they have to work it out. But again, I mean, in some ways, there's a lot of information that's illuminated through seeing what your neighbors really think. Is that really how people think? You know, that's enlightening, I think, as well.
A question for both of you, and I kind of was thinking about it the whole time, but it really triggered when Carolyn said, you know, you can't do it all. You know, being sort of a, you know, one-woman show for each site, and you know, with the internet, you know, news is a 24-hour cycle now. You know, I mean, I remember being you know, 12 years old, 13 years old, reading the Lowell Sun, and that's how I got my sports from, you know, the next night, or you know, or from the night before. It was, you know, and then the next day I would see how the Red Sox did. But now it's constantly, it never ends. So with everything there is, whether it's planning board and zoning board meetings, a major accident on the Everett, to local features on new businesses, or seasonal things like King Cone opening, or at
Hayward's, or
Hayward's, at Christmas time, the actors singers performed a Christmas carol. I mean, how on earth do you do it all? I mean, it seems like you must work 20 hours a day. I mean, how do you pick and choose?
I think that's where some of our kind of journalistic background comes in. A lot of the stuff that we end up writing ourselves is, stuff that we don't think that we can necessarily, have somebody send to us. I'm trying to think of a good example, but if somebody sends us an email and says there's the fire on West Hollis Street, we're not going to say, oh, okay, great, can you go to the scene and tell us what's going on and take all the photos? And we're not going to do that. We're going to, one of us is going to go, whether it's Carol shoots down here from Manchester if she's not in town, or if she calls me because I live in Nashua and says, hey, can you go see what's happening? If it's something like we are having a fundraiser for X, Y, or Z organization and it's Saturday night, that's a time that we're probably going to say, I'm sorry, I really can't make it that particular night, but if you want to upload photos or send photos to us, we will make sure to get that information onto the site so people can see, what happened, or, if they want to preview the event.
See, my philosophy also is, I feel my job is to get in front of the event and say, this is happening, to preview it, to maybe talk to an organizer when it's possible to do that kind of a story. Why is this important to Nashua? Once the event has happened, then I think that's where, especially if it's a big community event or a visual event or there's a lot to do, I would rely on readers to submit photos because they're actually there, because I can't attend every event in Nashua and every meeting. I'm just not physically capable of doing that, but I feel like the informant, I want to tell you what's happening and why it's happening, or why it's not happening, and it is a around the clock news cycle, that's for sure. We have a lot of tools at our disposal, our phones and various applications on our phones that help us get information quicker, but we do sleep, and our company philosophy is that we try to take downtime on the weekends because we don't want to burn out. We don't want to have that feeling that we haven't had any rest. On the other hand, each and every one of us in the New Hampshire Patch sites, we're all kind of excited about the news, so it's hard to make us step away, because we do want to know. We want to know what's happening, and we don't want to miss anything. And when you hear the phone buzz or beep, you're like, what happened? It's kind of exciting. That's why reporters become reporters, because it's we like that. Yeah. We get that little bit of a adrenaline rush from it. But I'm hoping that all of you that are here today will find one new way to use Patch when you leave, and maybe tell a friend about Patch. We don't, advertise it on the billboards or the buses, because we also feel like it's important for it to grow organically and for it to be a trusted, important part of the community, that people use it and say, wow, this Patch is so useful, you should use it too. We could pay a lot of money to splash it out there on Main Street, but I think the real the
value, I think,
comes from other people who recognize. Even politically, I feel like Patch doesn't editorialize on the issues. We just bring you the voices of the people that are out there doing the work, whether it's at the State House or down on Main Street, or opinion pieces that run. We don't try to filter it and inject our point of view on it. We want it to give you information that you can use and decide for yourself what your issues are and where you stand on those. Anyway, we want to thank you all for coming, and we hope this was valuable and you got some information that you didn't have before, and we hope we've raised 10 more questions in your mind, that you'll reach out to us for answers anytime. Merrimack Patch, Nashua Patch. We hope to see you there soon. Thank you.
Thank you.